for you to catch a ride from one of the internet-based driving services like Uber or Lyft, but what about your kids? In today's Tech Check, we're tackling the growing popularity of ride sharing. We've got everything you need to know about how to be prepared when your kids inevitably ask to use one of these apps. And I was telling the producers earlier, like, this did not even cross my mind. My kids are still young.
They're too little, yeah. Once they hit 12, it is a growing trend. It first happened when we were down in St. George, and some kids wanted to hang out with my kids and said, let's take an Uber over to the Dixie Rock. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute, what's going on here? It is happening. The teens are wanting to take Ubers and Lyfts instead of their parents giving them a ride.
I mean, part of me thinks, wow, what a great idea. Like, mom doesn't have to drive so many places, but at the same time, there's probably some things to think about.
Yeah, well, a lot of adults still have never used these ride-sharing services. This is when you use an app and you hail. These are regular people who use their own cars basically as a taxi. It all goes through the app, so there's no cash exchanged. You tell them where you are. They'll tell you how close one of the drivers is to you. They come pick you up, and then it just charges your credit card that's hooked onto the app and puts it in their credit card that's hooked to the app.
Is the cost comparable to taxis?
It's actually a little cheaper than taxis. They charge about $1.50 per mile. Well, and they also charge for time. So the average is about $2 per mile. It's a little less than a normal taxi, which we don't use a ton of here in Utah, but across the country for sure. And when you go on vacation, you have to look for surge pricing. So I actually did a little Uber driving during Sundance. They hike the rates if it's a busy time, if it's after the Super Bowl, if it's New Year's Eve. People were getting charged hundreds of dollars. So you want to look for that. It'll show you right on the map if it's a surge.
Okay, so you'll know ahead of time getting into it. I've had to take some pause as I've considered taking Uber and Lyft at times. And so how are we going to finagle this with our children if they're asking to use?
Well, I think one thing you should know is that Uber and Lyft are the most popular. There are others, but those are the two main ones. They all do have a third party do background checks on their drivers. It's a point of debate right now, though, because they don't use fingerprints. And some people say, well, if you don't do fingerprints, it's useless. But they do a background check. But the thing to know is that actually to have an account on either one of these, you're supposed to be 18 years old.
Oh, okay.
So parents are still letting their kids use their account. Just a couple of months ago, actually, Uber launched in 3 cities, not in Salt Lake City, but 3 cities across the country, pilot programs that are teen account, which I kind of like this idea. So it's linked to your account. I'm guessing these will come widespread soon. So when your teen requests a ride, it notifies you as the parent, and then you get to see their route and you can approve it or not. So I like that idea, but until then, your only other option is to allow them to use your account, which they don't really check. So
okay, so it's still a little iffy now, and maybe the kinks are getting worked out, but maybe there'll be more in the future as parents are.
Yeah, so there are definitely some precautions you should take, though, if you're going to let your young person use your account. There are a few things. So first of all, I think they have to ask permission because there are a couple of reasons. One is cost. I mean, it could be during surge. I mean, we saw prices, people were paying like $400 for a 30-minute ride. So the cost, and it's kind of like, remember when the whole in-app purchases thing happened and parents were getting shocked? This is happening with Uber. So parents are getting their credit card statement and getting shocked that their kid has taken an Uber a million times and they didn't even know.
And where there's no cash exchange, the child may not even realize how much money
goes straight to the credit card. So cost is one. The second one is if your kid is going to take an Uber, when they request it, and if you've ever done it, you know this, you get a little thing. It shows the license plate of the driver's name, a picture of the car. Your child should screenshot that and send that to you.
Smart.
So that you have the information. Some people say take a picture of the license plate. I mean, it's already on the app, so if they just screenshot it and send you a photo, I think that's super helpful. The other thing is they can do this to anyone, but have them do it to you, send you the information about their ride. So when they get a ride, they can just bing, send you a little link. Then you as the parent can see, you can follow the real-time GPS. Where are they? Are they almost here? Whatever. I think that is a great thing. The other advice you want to give to your child is for them to wait inside. So if they're coming from the movie to home, don't wait out in the dark where it can be scary. Wait inside. The app notifies you when your ride's here. You don't need to go out until then. The only other two things, one is that just like social media, you want to teach your kids to keep their private information private. So if the Uber driver is bringing them from the movies to home, they don't know that's your home. They don't know where that is. Don't share that information.
You
don't take selfies with your driver, little things like that. And finally, personally, this would be my rule, that they don't do it alone.
Okay.
I mean,
have a friend or a sibling or somebody with them.
You just never know. We haven't seen more crime with Uber and Lyft drivers than we saw with taxi drivers, but I just think that's a safe tip all the time, right?
Yeah.
Never alone.
Yeah. Great tips, Amy. Good conversation. Where can people find more of your insights?
DeseretNews.com/Amy.
Okay. Thanks so much,
Thank you.
Amy.